Hello, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. We are all welcome to this episode of النحو الواضح. Inshallah, in this episode, we are going to look at the next topic, which is the next pronoun, the next topic under the الضمير. To just go back with you quickly, we've done الضمير in general, the pronoun, and then we've looked at the types of the ضمائر. We've looked at الضمير المنفصل, and then we've looked at الضمير المستتر. الضمير المنفصل, we said the ضمير that is not attached to any word, the pronoun that is not attached to any word, الضمير المنفصل. And we said الضمير المستتر, pronoun that is attached to another word, like ذهبت. The to is the pronoun and it's attached to the ذهب. ذهب, ذهبت, ذهبتي, ذهبتم, those kind of pronouns. كتابك, the ka is attached to the kitab مباشرة. Those kind of pronouns are called الضمائر المتصلة. Those that are separate, like أنت, ذهبت, نحن, نشرب, نحن جدد. Those kind of pronouns, نحن, أنا, هو, هم, those kind of pronouns, we said they are الضمائر المنفصلة because they are separate from the word. They are not written together. Okay. We've said also that الضمائر المنفصلة, the الضمائر المنفصلة, those that are not attached, we have two kinds. Those that come for رفع always, like أنا, نحن, those kind of pronouns, they come for position of رفع, like مبتدا. And then we've said also that we have الضمائر المنفصلة that come for نصب always, أي في محل نصب always, which are the إياك, إيايا, إياكم, إياه, those kind of pronouns. They are also called الضمائر المنفصلة للنصب, للنصب. So, إيايا فرحبون, أي فرحبون إيايا, ارحبوا إيايا. Run to me, the إيايا is the مفعول به. إياك نعبد, إياك is the مفعول به مقدم. So it's all mansub, mansub. It always comes as mansub. Now today we are going to look at الضمير المستتر, and always we look at the keyword. We know ضمير already, so we look at the keyword here, which is المستتر. When we say المستتر, when we say المستتر, it's also from the verb istatara, from the very root word satara. You know satara, to veil something. When we say as-sitar, from that we get the word as-sitar, that means curtains. Curtains for the room, curtains, veil for everything. We call it as-sitar. So it's from the root word satara, sintara. Istatara, it has hidden. Istatara, bimana, it has hidden. So when we say الضمير المستتر, that is the hidden pronoun. I said something in our lessons, I don't know if you still remember. I had said that in terms of the pronouns, we have various divisions, various classifications. We classify the pronouns per how they are written, their structure. We can say structural classification. Like الضمير المتصل, it is attached. الضمير المنفصل, pronoun that is not attached, it parts ways. And then we have those ones, we can see them, they are obvious. But then we have pronouns that we can't see, which are الضمائر المستترة. So those we can see, we call them الضمير البارز أو الضمائر البارزة. الضمائر البارزة, pronouns that are apparent, we can see them. Under that we have the منفصل, متصل, those pronouns, since you can see them in the sentence. And then الضمير المستتر is another classification where you can't see the pronoun at all. you can't see it. You can only infer. You can deduce from what you are seeing that, oh, there is a pronoun in this verb. So the pronoun is hidden in the verb in question. Okay, enough of the introduction. Let's go to the lesson before us. Al-Amthila, he says, Al-Jamalu Baraka. Baraka bimana to kneel. But then this is specific. You have to understand it in this manner. To kneel with to hit your nail on the ground. To hit your nail on the ground. Like the camel, when it wants to go down, you know the way it goes with its knee down. It's the same kneeling down, but then I want you to understand it in the concept of the camel. When it wants to lie down, it breaks the leg like that. We say barakal jamal. There is this hadith, if I remember clearly, إذا سجد أحدكم فليسجد بين يديه ولا يبرك كما يبرك البعير ولا يبرك كما يبرك البعير. That if one of you wants to do sujada, let him do sujada on his hands. Drop the hands first before the knees, and then he shouldn't drop his knee, shouldn't kneel down like the camel does. So some people, when they want to do sujud, they hit the knee on the ground, you hear gra, you hear ku before the person comes down. It's not a good practice. Okay. Al-Jamalu Baraka, the camel knelt. The camel knelt. Al-Hamamatu Garradat. Al-Hamama, the dove. Garrada is to sing. Garradat, bimana it sang. The dove sang. Now when we say a bird is singing, we say tagreed. Tagreed tuyur. When we say the bird is singing, it is the sound they make. Every bird has its unique sound. Okay, so that is the tagreed here. Al-Hamamatu Garradat. The bird, the dove sang. I don't know if there is any English word, specific word for it. Uridu an tajtahida. Uridu an tajtahida. I want you to strive. I want you to strive hard. Innana nuhibbu najahaka. Indeed, we love your success. We like your success. Okay. Let me wipe this. And he says, Al-Kalbu Yambahu. The dog is barking. Al-Bintu Tuhsinu Tabakha. The girl is good with cooking. Al-Bintu Tuhsinu Tabakha. Tuhsinu from the verb ahsana, to be good at something. Inna Allah yuhibbu idha amila ahadukum an yutkina. Okay, that one is from yutkina atqana, which almost shares meaning with this. Ahsana, to be good at it. Al-bintu tuhsinu tabkha. The girl is good with cooking. The girl is good with cooking. Sorry. Azzim al-kabira. Azzim al-kabir. I respect. Azzim here bimana ihtarim. Azzim to give somebody their regards. Azzim al-kabira. I respect the elderly. Nazif hidha'aka. Wash your shoes or clean your shoes, your footwear. Hidha, footwear. Okay. So these are the examples before us. 8 sentences. Al-Jamalu Baraka, Al-Hamamatu Garradat, Uridu an tajtahida, Innana nuhibbu najahaka, Al-Kalbu Yambahu, Al-Bintu Tuhsinu Tabkha, Azzimu Al-Kabira, Nazif Hidha'aka. I hope all the words are understood. Now we come to the bath. He says what? He says, Iza sa'alaka sa'ilun. If somebody should ask you, saying, قائلا, saying, أين الفاعل لكل فعل من الأفعال? Where is the fa'il for the verb baraka? garradat, ينبح, تحسن, أريد, تجتهد, نحب, عظم, نظف. فكيف تجيبه. If somebody asks you where is the fa'il for these verbs, كيف تجيبه, how do you respond to the person? Now you might hasten. I've had a lot of students saying but the fa'il is mentioned, the fa'il is the al-jamalu, the fa'il here will be the al-hamamatu, it is the one doing the singing, it is the one kneeling. You know, you are pushed into thinking with that kind of logic. We are not doing so much of your logic here. We are doing grammar. It's a science. You need to understand it as it is. Al-jamalu, of course, in understanding is the one doing the kneeling. So it is in terms of everyday meaning, it is the doer. But then when we talk about the doer in Arabic language, we mean a noun that is nominative, ay al-ismul marfu' or ismun marfu'un yadullu ala man qama bil-fi'l wa yudhkar ba'da al-fi'l, and it is mentioned after the verb. The fa'il is a noun which is nominative, which is mentioned after the verb. So when we say al-jamalu here, of course we've already learned that a noun that begins a sentence is what? Mubtada. You remember your mubtada wal khabar, al-jumlatul ismiya. I know you remember it clearly. A noun, when a noun begins a sentence, the noun is what? Mubtada. And this is a noun and it is marfu. A noun and it is marfu. So it's in i'rab, I will say al-jamalu mubtada marfu'un wa alamatu raf'ihi ad-damma az-zahira ala akhirih. Now baraka, I will do the i'rab of baraka and I will say what? fi'l madi mabni ala al-fath لا محل له من الإعراب أو فعل ماضي مبني على الفتح. خلاص. Now you've mentioned the fi'l. After every fi'l there should be a fa'il in terms of grammatical understanding, in terms of النحو العربي, Arabic grammar. So after baraka, after doing i'rab of a verb, you are expected to say والفاعل in any i'rab of any verb at all in لغة عربية, whether فعل أمر, whether فعل ماضي, whether فعل مضاري. After doing i'rab, you are directly expected to say والفاعل. If the fa'il is mentioned, like I say ذهب محمد, I do the i'rab of ذهب فعل ماضي مبني على الفتح لا محل له من الإعراب, then I say محمد فاعل مرفوع وعلامة رفعه الضمة الظاهرة على آخره. If Muhammad is not mentioned, then I need to say, after doing i'rab of ذهب, I need to say والفاعل, then show what the fa'il is. However, every verb has a fa'il in it, even if the fa'il is not mentioned apparently. Okay, so that is the understanding here. Al-jamalu mubtada, baraka fi'l. Where is the fa'il? Of course, you know baraka is a conjugation that has huwa in it. When you look at the conjugation table, it is huwa baraka, hiya barakat, anta barakta, anti barakti, antunna baraktunna, antum baraktum. So in line of the conjugation, baraka goes with huwa. So after doing the i'rab of baraka, the fa'il will come here. Garradat, the fa'il should come here. Al-hamamatu is mubtada. Okay. When you say innana nuhibbu, nuhibbu, what is the fa'il of nuhibbu? Oh, you would understand that, oh, nuhibbu, ay nahnu nuhibbu. So nuhibbu, the fa'il is a pronoun in it. It's not mentioned, but the fa'il is there. It's a pronoun hidden in it. Uridu, uridu, I stand looking at uridu, uridu. Who wants? Uridu, then ana uridu. Then the one doing the irada is a pronoun hidden in the uridu. Uridu an tajtahida. Tajtahida. Who is he expecting to work hard? Oh, uridu an tajtahida anta. Tajtahida anta. Okay, then the fa'il is a pronoun, but it's not mentioned. It is hidden in the verb. It is understood from the verb, inferred from the verb. Let's go back and read the bahth. You get it. If you are asked what is the fa'il for all these verbs, فَكَيْفَ تُجِيبُهُ, how do you respond? إذا تأملت قليلا استطعت الإجابة. If you think a little bit استطعت الإجابة, you can answer. استطعت الإجابة بمعنى استطعت أن تجيب, you can be able to respond. لأن في كل فعل من هذه الأفعال, because in every verb among these verbs, listen again, in every verb, inside of the verb itself, inside of the makeup of the verb, like ذهب, in the ذهب, a grammarian sees that ذهب is hollow, something is in it. What is in it? ضميرا. And the ضمير is what? هو الفاعل. In every fi'l, there is a what? ضمير, and this ضمير is the fa'il. So if I say أريد, I automatically feel أنا أريد. So أريد, the أنا is the fa'il, but I can't mention it. It's hidden in أريد. أن تجتهد, أي تجتهد أنت. أنت is the fa'il for تجتهد, but then I can't mention it. It's hidden. Okay, I hope you are following the terrain. ولكن هذا الضمير لا يظهر, but this pronoun لا يظهر, it does not appear. بمعنى مستتر. We can say ولكن هذا الضمير مستتر. ولكن هذا الضمير, ولكن هذا الضمير لا يظهر أو مستتر. ولذلك سمي ضميرا مستترا, and so it was called ضميرا مستترا. لماذا؟ لأنه لا يظهر. Why is it called ضمير مستتر, hidden pronoun? Because لا يظهر, it does not appear. فإذا نظرت إلى الفعلين الماضيين, and if you should look at the two past tense, وهما بركة, and they are بركة and جردت. In the examples, we have only two past tense that came. We look at this, baraka and garradat. That is the only two past tense examples that we had in the sentence. Okay. Even before I read the bahs, where is the fa'il? Al-jamal, baraka is conjugated to masculine, so it is conjugated to the pronoun huwa. Garradat is conjugated to what? Here. Because if I say dhahaba, I say huwa dhahaba, here dhahabat. So baraka huwa, garradat here. So let me do i'rab even before we get back to the bath. I want to be as clear as possible. baraka فعل ماضي مبني على الفتح لا محل له من الإعراب. والفاعل, listen, والفاعل ضمير مستتر. Listen to the next word. تقديره هو. What is تقديره? It is inferred to be هو, or it is considered to be هو. تقديره, if it should appear, it will be هو. Al-jamalu baraka. The jamalu in terms of grammatical analysis is mubtada, it's not fa'il. Take note of this. Baraka is fi'il madi. After every fi'il, you need an i'rab of a fa'il. The fa'il should come after the verb. The fa'il is a hidden pronoun in the word baraka, and the pronoun is huwa. So you say wal fa'ilu damirun mustatirun taqdiruhu. Its representation is what? Huwa. Ya'udu, which returns to al-jamal. So there is always a pronoun that refers back to the mubtada if it comes in this form. Al-waladu dhahaba. Dhahaba has a pronoun huwa in it that refers back to the al-waladu. Okay. So we look at something here. What he will say. He says that if you look at these two past tense verbs, baraka wa garradat, رأيت أن الفعل ضمير. You see, رأيت أن الفاعل ضمير. You realize that the fa'il, the doer, is a pronoun. تقديره, its representation, هو يعود. His representation تقديره هو. His representation is هو. يعود على الجمل, which refers back to the jamal. So it's like saying al-jamalu baraka huwa, and the huwa refers back to the jamal. But you can't mention the sentence like that. It has to be mustatir. It has to be hidden in the verb. If you mention it, it's tautology. It is inferred, understood from the verb. يعود على الجمل في الفعل الأول refers to the jamal in terms of the first verb baraka. The ضمير مستتر is huwa. And he says وتقديره أي تقدير فاعل, the representation of the fa'il or the inferment of the fa'il. What word represents the fa'il? In terms of the garradat, we say it is here, because it is garradat. There is a ta'u tani, so the pronoun should be feminine. Here. يعود على الحمامة, which returns back to the hamama. So at the end of the day, the hamama is the doer, but in grammatical sense, it is mubtada. Its position is mubtada. Its grammatical position is not fa'il. It's mubtada. But the pronoun that represents the fa'il comes back to it. في الفعل الثاني, in terms of the second verb, which is garradat. ولا يخرج تقدير الضمير المستتر عن هذين في كل فعل ماض. ولا يخرج تقدير الضمير, and the representation of the ضمير مستتر, the hidden pronoun, does not go out of these two in terms of fi'l madi. What is he trying to say? When you have fi'l madi, the only time you can say تقديره والفاعل ضمير مستتر, the only time you can say the fa'il is a hidden pronoun is when you have a conjugation of verb to huwa, a conjugation of verb to hiya. So you have something like ذهب, ذهبت. That is the only time you have the fa'il being ضمير مستتر. What about when you have ذهب dual? The alif here at the end is the fa'il. It represents the fa'il. So the fa'il is not hidden. The alif is a pronoun. The alif is name. It's a pronoun there. When you say dhahabu, the waw here, we've understood it to be the pronoun representing the fa'il. Dhahabu. You know it ends with ba, waw, alif. The waw here is a pronoun representing, is waw al-jama'a, and that is the fa'il. When you say dhahabna, the noon here, noon in niswa, represents the fa'il. So in fi'il madi, the only time you have damir mustatir is when you have the conjugation of the verb going for huwa and hiya. Fi'il madi, the only damir mustatir is hiya and huwa. Tamam, we are good with that. Let's go to the next step. وإذا نظرت في الأفعال المضارعة التي في الأمثلة السابقة, and if you look at the present tense verb which are in the previous examples. Present tense verb, let's go look at them quickly. أريد, تجتهد, نحب, ينبح, تحسن. These are the present tense verbs that we have. How do we determine their fa'il? How do we determine the pronoun hidden in them? Of course, you know that when you conjugate a verb to ana, what happens? The verb in the present tense, the verb will begin with alif hamza. So what do you say? أذهب, أأكل, أحسن, أجاهد. When you conjugate a verb to ana in the present tense verb, it has to begin with alif hamza. So whenever you see a conjugation of present tense verb with hamza in front of it, then the damir mustatir is ana. Ana ukatibu, ana ujalisu, ana adrusu, ana aktubu, ana afhamu. It has to begin with alif hamza. That is done. You want to conjugate a present tense verb to anta. You say anta tazhabu, anta ta'kulu, anta tashrabu. So there is a ta in front of the verb, which is referring to ta'ul mukhatab. Ta'ul mukhataba. Mukhatab, you are talking to the second person. So anta also in conjugation in the present tense begins with a ta. So when ta comes like that, we have two kinds of ta. When I want to say here in present tense verb, she is eating, I say here ta'akulu. I want to say anta, you singular masculine, you are eating, I will say anta ta'akulu. So here ta'akulu, anta ta'akulu. So in terms of ga'ib, third person singular, it begins with a ta. In terms of second person singular masculine, it begins with a ta. So the ta has two ضمير مستتر. إما هي أو إما أنت. It either be anta or here when you come to the present tense verb beginning with a ta. When the present tense verb begin with a ya, it is conjugated to huwa. Yani huwa yadhhabu, huwa ya'kulu, huwa yashrabu, huwa yanamu. It begins with a ya. So the ya here refers to the ga'ib, mudhakkar, mufrad. When the present tense verb begins with a noon, like nuhibbu, nadrusu, na'kulu, nujahidu, nashamu, nafhamu, nukatibu. When it begins with a noon like this present tense verb, the ضمير مستتر is what? Nahnu. Okay, we will go and read the bahs. I just wanted to explain this concept. Now what you do, please, at this point, you can just see the dimension our grammar is going to. We are building. What you do is that don't just listen, make notes. As I speak, you make notes so that if I build on it, you can just refer back. Oh, he said in conjugation for the present tense verb singular, anta, singular masculine, present tense verb. Anta will begin with a ta. Okay, third person singular feminine also begins with a ta. So we can have two ضمير مستتر here or anta, depending on the concept. You make your notes as you listen. It says, if you look at the present tense verbs in the examples, رأيت تقدير الضمير المستتر, you see that the representation of the ضمير المستتر في كل فعل يختلف باختلاف حروف المضارعة. The representation of the ضمير المستتر differs باختلاف حروف المضارعة based on the differences in the حروف المضارعة. What is the حروف المضارعة? I'm sure you remember it. The حروف المضارعة are, as I said, the hamza, the ta, the nun, the yai. The حروف المضارعة are all made up into anaytu. Alif, nun, ya, ta. You conjugate a present tense verb, definitely it will begin with alif hamza, nun, or yai, or ta. No matter what, in present tense verb conjugation, it has to begin one of these four. So this letters determines whether the ضمير مستتر is huwa, whether the ضمير مستتر is here, whether it is anta, whether it is na'am, basically so. Okay, so let's look. فالفاعل, so the fa'il al-mustatir, the hidden fa'il, في المبدوء بالياء, in the present tense verb الفعل المضارع في, you can just put an arrow there and indicate, because you might have to explain the book to somebody else. As you are learning, my goal is that you understand to the extent that you can also teach it out comfortably and with full ability. Here he says فالفاعل المستتر في, there is something here, في الفعل المضارع المبدوء بالياء, in the present tense verb that begins with yai. مثل, example, like ينبح تقديره هو, as I did. When you have a present tense verb that begins with yai in its conjugation, singular, because if you say يذهبون, the fa'il is not mustatir, there is the waw there, or يذهبوا, the waw there, so we are talking about singular here. When you have a singular conjugation of present tense verb and it has a yai in front of it. The fa'il is ضمير مستتر and its تقدير is هو. وفي المبدوء أي وفي الفعل المضارع المبدوء بتاء التأنيث تقديره هي. When you have a فعل مضارع that begins with تاء التأنيث, like here, like you say المدرسة تحسن التدريس, البنت تحسن الطبخ. تحسن, the ta that is beginning the conjugation here is ta ta'nis. It's a ta of feminine. In such a verb, the fa'il is ضمير مستتر تقديره هي. وفي المبدوء بالهمزة تقديره أنا. When the verb begins with hamza, like أحسن, أتقن, أتكلم, أدرس, all those, when it begins with alif hamza in the present tense conjugation, then the ضمير مستتر, the fa'il is ضمير مستتر تقديره أنا. Like the أريد, let me see, وفي المبدوء بالنون, and the ones that begins with nun تقديره نحن, like نذهب أي نذهب نحن. وفي المبدوء بالتاء المخاطب, and the one that begins with ta of مخاطب أي second person masculine singular تقديره أنت. Let me finish this and do a i'rab for almost all the أفعال مضارعة. We would have a long lengthy lesson today. Yes, وإذا نظرت في أفعال الأمر مثل, if you look at the أفعال الأمر, we are done with the مضارع. If you look at the أفعال الأمر, عظم, نظف, وجدت أن الفاعل ضمير مستتر تقديره أنت دائما. In command verb, in فعل أمر, in all the conjugation, the only time you have the fa'il being ضمير مستتر is when the only ضمير that becomes fa'il مستتر is أنت. Because the moment you say عظمي, yani you are referring to anti, by the yai at the end is the fa'il. عظمي, the yai is a ضمير متصل. You saw some i'rab up there like that. عظمي is a ضمير متصل في محل رفع فاعل. نظفي, it comes with a fa'il. عظموا, نظموا, عظما, نظفا. The moment you add a pronoun, then the fa'il becomes known, it's written, it's obvious, it's not mustatir. Okay, now let me go back and do some i'rab for us. بركة فعل ماضي مبني على الفتح لا محل له من الإعراب, والفاعل ضمير مستتر تقديره هو يعود على الجمل. جردت فعل ماضي مبني على الفتح, you can say لاتصاله بتاء التانيث الساكنة. جردت فعل ماضي مبني على الفتح, والتاء تاء التانيث الساكنة, والفاعل ضمير مستتر تقديره هي. أريد فعل مضارع مرفوع وعلامة رفعه الضمة الظاهرة على آخره, والفاعل ضمير مستتر تقديره أنا. أن حرف نصب مبني على السكون لا محل له من الإعراب. تجتهد فعل مضارع منصوب وعلامة نصبه, أو فعل مضارع منصوب بأن وعلامة نصبه الفتح, والفاعل ضمير مستتر تقديره أنت. تجتهد فعل مضارع مبني على الفتح, فعل مضارع منصوب وعلامة نصبه الفتح, أو علامة نصبه الفتحة with the ta, وعلامة نصبه الفتحة. والفاعل ضمير مستتر تقديره أنت. إننا نحب فعل مضارع مرفوع وعلامة رفعه الضمة الظاهرة على آخره, والفاعل ضمير مستتر تقديره نحن. أوكي. ينبح فعل مضارع مرفوع وعلامة رفعه الضمة والفاعل ضمير مستتر تقديره هو يعود على الكلب. البنت تحسن، البنت of course مبتدأ مرفوع علامة رفعه الضمة الظاهرة على آخره. تحسن فعل مضارع مرفوع وعلامة رفعه الضمة الظاهرة على آخره. والفاعل ضمير مستتر تقديره هي يعود على البنت. عظم فعل أمر مبني على السكون. والفاعل ضمير مستتر تقديره أنت، أي عظم أنت الكبير. الكبير مفعول به of course. نظف فعل مضارع مبني على السكون. والفاعل ضمير مستتر تقديره أنت. حذاءك of course مفعول به. Okay, so that is basically the إعراب. Let's look at the قواعد. الضمير المستتر, the hidden pronoun, هو ضمير اتصل, it is linked, it is attached. ضمير مستتر هو ضمير اتصل بالفعل, it is linked to the فعل من غير أن يظهر في اللفظ, without appearing in لفظ, بمعنى you can't see it, it is not pronounced. So if I say ذهب, I do not mention anybody, the فاعل is هو, يعني اتصل به, it is connected with it, but then it does not appear. دون أي من غير أن, بمعنى دون أن يظهر, it does not appear in لفظ. الضمير المستتر في الفعل الماضي, the hidden pronoun in past tense في الفعل الماضي, don't forget this, very important. تقديره هو أو هي. The فعل الماضي only has the فاعل being ضمير مستتر when it is the verb is conjugated to هو أو هي. الضمير المستتر في المضارع, and the ضمير مستتر in فعل مضارع يختلف تقديره باختلاف حروف المضارع, and you saw that the تقدير of فعل مضارع, the تقدير of the فاعل in فعل مضارع differs based on the حرف المضارع, or based on the conjugation. Okay, the last one, he says الضمير المستتر في فعل الأمر تقديره أنت دائما. When you come to فعل أمر, the تقدير of the فاعل is always أنت. The moment the verb conjugation leaves the anta zone, the fa'il is no more mustatir. You can see it in a pronoun form or mentioned. So when I say idhab, kul, something like ijlis, the moment I say ijlisi, kuli, idhabi, the yai there becomes the fa'il. It's no more hidden. So we should understand this concept, inshallah. Anything that is unclear, please, you can see where our grammar is getting to. Do well to ask the questions, inshallah, and do well to follow the i'rab. Very, very important. At this point, whenever you are reading any material, do your best to understand the changes in vowels, how things are moving. Try to understand the grammatical position of every word. At this level, start trying your hands on that, inshallah. Okay, till we meet again, have a very good Arabic time. Do not hesitate with your questions, and do well to subscribe if you've not done so. Try to share for others to also benefit. Don't keep the benefit to yourself alone. Okay, till we meet again, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.